I'm not advocating for divorce. I'm advocating for you to water the grass wherever it happens to be, because it is not greener on the other side. If you're a guy that points the finger all the time, go to your wife and just say, you know what? I recognize I've done this. I recognize I've done that. It hurts. I'm telling you it hurts, but it sets you free. I got to the point where I just got so checked out, I didn't even want to try anymore. But the truth is, inside I was dying. I was so lonely. I just wanted my wife to see me. Most men, when we feel seen and appreciated, and our woman is just like, I see you, thank you for this, like we will go to hell and back for them. But again, over years, we take each other for granted. We don't see each other. The disconnect kicks in. We don't want to deal with it. Welcome to the Burn Up Podcast. I'm Adam Nugent, your host. Today's episode is dedicated to those men that are married, that are struggling within their marriage, that feel disconnect, that something's off. Actually, first of all, what I'd like to say is I see you. I think the most extensive amount of loneliness that one person can feel isn't when we're not in a relationship. It's actually when we're in a relationship. Having experienced all different things on both sides of it in dating, being single, divorced, married, I believe the most heavy loneliness that a man can feel is inside of a relationship. And so I want you to know I see you. As a little bit of a backdrop, I was married for 17 years. I've been divorced now nearly 8 years. I wouldn't wish divorce on my worst enemy. It was hell going through it. It was also an incredible blessing in my life and the life of my kids. My ex-wife, my co-parent, she and I are really good friends. We co-parent really well together. We can have conversations. We could be in the same room. It took a minute to get there, but there were some beautiful gifts that came as a result of me going through the divorce. Now, this episode, I'm not advocating for divorce. I truly believe the grass is green where you water it. No one gets married thinking they're going to get divorced. So I'm just giving you a backdrop on my own information. This is really for the man that is disconnected, that wants connection with his wife and does not want to get divorced. And so I'll leave it there. So what I want to do on this episode, more than anything, is I want to give you a little bit of a backdrop on just how I used to show up, how I was in my marriage, how I viewed things, and how I see things now. You know, when you're in the fog, it's really hard to see clearly. You know, you can't see your own things. We don't see our blind spots, the role that we're playing in it. And it's so easy to point a finger. Now, let's be clear. It takes two to tango. So for those of you that are struggling, your wife is playing a role in this. I am not negating that. I'm not taking away. I'm not taking away from anything that she is doing or not doing that's not serving the partnership. This isn't about her. This is directed to you as a man and what you can do about it. The reality is if you want change, it has to start with someone. And so I'm inviting the men that are listening to this, that are struggling to take heed to what I'm sharing. And I'm going to share some of the pitfalls, some of the things that I did that were frankly not serving, in some ways were really immature. Again, I got married when I was really young. I was 23. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. We were so young. And for the last, who knows how many years of our marriage, if I look back on it, we were roommates, honestly. And there was disconnect that started, and it's the ripple effect. Things wouldn't get addressed. And over time, these ripples became larger. Then they became, 12-foot swells to the point to where it's like, we've done everything we can. Given where we're at, this just doesn't work. So whatever season you are, however long you've been married, if you find yourself in a really disconnected state, I want you to know, first and foremost, you're not alone. Over 50% of marriages end in divorce. And I would argue that those that remain married do it for a number of different reasons: for comfort, for security, for fear, for the kids, which I think is the worst reason to stay married for. But nevertheless, I believe that the majority of those that have been married, let's say more than 10 years or even 20 plus years, many of them are just comfortable. The polarity's not there, that excitement's not there for a number of different reasons. And I think it's very, very rare for someone that's been married 15, 20 plus years plus to have a marriage that's thriving. And I know people that have done it. I know people that are doing it, but it's rare. And also, I believe each and every one of us has the opportunity to do that inside a marriage. So a little bit, again, backdrop on me. So again, was married for 17 years. I have 4 sons, and, we got married really, really young. And my worth and my identity was tied to money. I'm wired as a provider. I love to take care of my people, and my worth was tied into that. So early on in my career, we started to make some money, started to have some success. It filled me up. It fueled me up. I'm taking care of my family. And over time, as there was disconnect in our marriage, I got great fulfillment at work. I was getting praises and accolades and all the different things that were happening there, and I was seen. And when I would go home, I didn't feel seen. And what I was longing for was just, I wanted my wife to be able to just love on me and hold me. And, I'm going to talk a little bit also about, you probably a hot topic these days are talking around masculine and feminine energy, making sure the polarity is there. I will tell you, for a relationship to really thrive, the polarity needs to be on. And both men and women we both have masculine and feminine energy. And when I was not in the home, I was the man, getting shit done, accomplishing things, making money, doing lots of different things. But when I went home, I put on a different hat. I took a very feminine role. I took a back seat. My wife was the CEO of the house. She was in charge. And I literally energetically would shift when I came home. I mean, I'd do stupid things. You know, I'd come home and, you know, she'd be frustrated with me that I wasn't helping with this or helping with that. And then I was that guy that said, well, make a list. I mean, thinking about that now, it's just like, holy shit, I can't. But I'm like, make a list. Because in my head, I'm like, you know what? If you tell me what to do and I don't follow through with it, then you have a reason to be upset with me. But if I come home and I didn't do a certain thing and you expect me to do certain things, then that's on you. You know, so I was pointing the finger back at her. And what's interesting is my co-parent, my ex-wife, one of her love languages is acts of service. Well, most men, I believe, have the same two love languages. Now, everybody's different, but, you know, is words of affirmation and physical touch. And, you know, I had a coach years ago that said something, it was crude, but I'm going to share it on here anyway. He said, you know what? I just want my wife to tell me I'm the man and fuck me. You know, we want to feel, most men want to feel appreciated. They want to feel respected. We want to feel seen for the work and all the effort that we're putting into raising a family, providing. You know, many women, you know, many of you that are married to mothers that are stay-at-home moms, that's a completely different emotional load of taking care of the kids and doing all of the things, you know, but also we carry our own weight and going out to provide and to show up as a husband and a father and a provider and to do all the things. The weight can be extremely heavy. And what most of us as men want is, you know, we go out and slay dragons and then we want to come home and we want our home to be a place of refuge, a home to be a place of softness. And we want our partner just to lean into us. We want that soft side just to love on us and touch us. And the reality is so much of my worth was tied to money. And I was making a lot when I was married. We could really do anything we want. We had the house, we had the toys, we had all the things. She had an American Express card that she could spend really whatever the hell she wanted. And I remember one time we got in an argument, and I've shared this on the podcast, but I think it's important for what we're talking about. We were out in our driveway, and I don't even remember what the argument was about. But I looked at her, and at the time, I mean, we're living in a mansion. We had 11,000 square foot home, huge property in Holiday, Salt Lake City, beautiful area. And I looked at her and I said, do you realize how hard I work for this family? Because I felt unseen, right? My worth was tied to money. And she looked at me and she said, I wish we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, we had 4 kids. Now, she really didn't really want to live in a 1-bedroom apartment. But what she was saying, and she didn't have the tools or the words to say it, is, listen, you give the house, you give the money, but Adam, you're not showing up emotionally, and you're not showing up in the way that she needed me to show up for. And at the time that just hurt. I mean, my ego was bruised. I didn't feel seen. I felt so disrespected in that. And, you know, for years we would go back and forth with the dance, you know, come home, you know, and it was just disconnected. It's like the kids are all over, especially if you have young kids. I'm like, you got to be really intentional and proactive to date your wife and do things. And our kids were hellions. And so it was almost like, again, I was wearing the CEO hat during the day. I'd come home, you know, she's got the CEO hat on, and then it was just wrangling up kids. She's exhausted. I'm exhausted. And then many times, and it went on for sometimes years, it's like there wasn't time to connect and time to date. We didn't make that a priority. Going back, I wish we would have done that. But towards the end of my marriage, I really, and this is what I want to kind of really hit home, I was really longing for connection, longing for it. I can't tell you how many times I would come home, I'd pull up into my driveway, and I'd sit in the car, and I'd honestly say a prayer. I'd be like, I hope she sees me. Remember, most of us want to be seen. I want her to see me. And, you know, when you have a track record of certain behavior over a long period of time, resentment builds, trust gets eroded. And, you know, one of the things that I used to do is I used to pout, or I would use sarcasm to point things out. And knowing towards the end, I'm like, okay, acts of service is her thing. So I'd come home, you know, there were things to be done. I didn't wait for her to ask, you know, the dishes need to be done. So I'd do the dishes, and then I would say, hey babe, I did the dishes, you know, and I would go around and tell her all the things that I was doing because I wanted her to see me. And there was actually one time she goes, why are you telling me what you're doing? I don't tell you what I'm doing, you know? And again, here I am wanting to be seen, and it backfired on me. So what did that do? Create resentment. And I avoided conflict like the plague. I didn't want to deal with it. And my MO in the past was, rather than deal with it, I'll bury it. And then what would happen is I would bury it for so long that I'd finally just lose my shit. And then I would just vomit all over. I'd bring things up from weeks ago because I didn't deal with it. So if you're somebody that's really triggered, one of the things you've got to get comfortable with is confrontation, is leaning into the hard, is being willing to have those conversations. And all of us have different attachment wounds and different things. The reason we don't want to, because I don't think anyone really gets off or loves conflict. There's abandonment things, there's this inability to be seen. And so when you've been in a pattern like I was for years and years and years, if she showed up if there was 1 ounce of just that energy, I would check out. I'd get reactive, I'd pull away, and I would completely I was in the home physically, but emotionally, mentally checked out. I'd go hide. I'd go watch a show, or I'd go through the motions with my kids and go somewhere else. For years, I was not there for my kids. I was projecting my insecurities, my loneliness, the things that I was personally struggling with. At the time, I was morbidly overweight because I used food to cope and manage those emotions. So I'd come home and I'd get triggered. I didn't feel seen. And then I'd get stuck in this loop over and over and over and over again. So one of the things that you've got to realize is if you want to stay married, you want connection, it might, like in my case, there was years of disconnect, years of unhealthy behavioral patterns. And, there were multiple times, and the day that I decide I'm going to show up, okay, I need to shift, I need to change. And then it's really moronic or almost psychotic to think that, hey, there's been years of a certain pattern that I'm showing up a certain way. And then all of a sudden I'm going to show up different one day and expect her to come racing to me and rip my clothes off and let's go at it, And so if there's been years of distrust, years of resentment, it's going to take some time to work through that. It's going to take some time to rebuild the trust. And the only way you can rebuild trust is through action. And you've got to be able to be okay not being seen and being okay not getting what you want for a certain period of time because she doesn't trust you. At the end of the day, she doesn't trust you. Now, again, remember, it takes 2 to tango. I could post just as many videos and clips, and I could talk about all the things that she did. But at the end of the day, you can't control the other person. I'm inviting you as a man to step up, to take radical accountability, and to look in the mirror and take full ownership for your role, because you are 100% responsible for you. And the truth is, you have no control how anyone else shows up, And when we have to look in the mirror and own our shit, it's painful. It's the hardest person we have ever faced or will ever face is ourselves. And there's stories attached to it and our identity is attached to it. And in my case, I got to the point where I just got so checked out, I didn't even want to try anymore. But the truth is, inside, I was dying. I was so lonely. I just wanted connection. I just wanted my wife to see me. And what did I do? Again, I kept pointing out, hey, I'm going to go buy you this. I'm going to go do this. I remember towards the end of our marriage, she needed to get a new car. I ended up buying her 2. I bought her a new, she wanted an old Land Cruiser. I was in California. I found one, brought her these homes. I'm like, she's going to see me. She's going to see me. And yeah, she was excited in the moment, but the truth is it didn't strengthen the connection. Nothing really shifted. And I was feeling like $1 million because I got her I got her these huge things and look at me. And I'm the guy that did this. I worked so hard to get this, but I wasn't giving her what she needed. I wasn't there emotionally. I wasn't there to give the support that she actually needed. Many times we show love in the way that we want it. It's a superpower when you can show love in the way your partner wants it and the way they receive it. And it's just like, as I'm thinking about this, I'm just kind of tapping back into the energy of that. And it's sad and it's lonely and it feels like it's impossible. For the men that I work with in my coaching, with several men here in the last several weeks are in the same boat where I was. Major disconnect. One particular gentleman has not slept in his bedroom for over 5 years, has not had sex in years, lonely, lonely, but they're staying together for the kids. He doesn't know what to do. And his wife's telling him, hey, listen, I need you to show up. I want you to be the man. But he's living in the basement. He's been living in the basement. You know, the polarity was off in my relationship, and the polarity's off in a lot of marriages. And for those of you that are disconnected, more likely than not, the polarity's off. Your woman, your wife, is really in her masculine energy. Her walls are up. She's defensive. She doesn't feel safe to soften and lean into you. She just doesn't. And what happens many times is when you are in a relationship with somebody that leans into their masculine, when you show up in a masculine way, they don't know what to do with it. It doesn't feel safe. That's why consistency is so important. So many times you'd be like, let me take it. I got the lead. I'm going to do this. And then they reject it. They go against it because it's unnatural. They're not used to it because they've had to be in their masculine frame for so long. They're exhausted. I've dated women that have been in their masculine. And it's like when they're soft, it's awesome. When they're hard and they're masculine, it's a turn off. I don't think any dude's turned on by a woman that's like a boss babe, get shit done, tell you what to do, make the list, all the things. Like, it's a turn off. And I played into that role because I was hyper feminized when I was at home and the polarity was off. So the polarity has to be turned on. There has to be something there that ignites the relationship. And if both of you are in your masculine energy, or the man's in the feminine and your wife is masculine, I'm telling you, it doesn't work. It's unnatural. And so if you want to work on your marriage, you've got to become so resolute that you're willing to do anything and everything for an unspecified amount of time. Or you could even set a time. But if you're going to set a time, set it out in advance. Like, you know what? I'm going to be willing to do this for 3 months, 60 days, 90 days. And if you've been showing up a certain way and then you all of a sudden start showing up different, and you want to be seen, you've got to understand that it's going to take time. As I said this earlier, it's going to take time for her to be able to trust it. And when I say trust, I'm not talking about betrayal or cheating. I'm talking about just trusting your actions. Are your words and actions aligned? And the more that you can do that over time, more often than not, she will meet you. Now, one of the things that I always say for the guys that I'm working with, some of them are teetering on divorce. They don't know what to do. And I tell them, listen, you have to look at this where 1 + 1 = 3. You have the work to do. You are playing a role in this. And, divorce might seem like the easy answer right now, but I'm telling you, men, that if you're straddling the fence between staying married and not staying married, and you don't work on your shit, you will take that into another relationship and you will repeat the pattern until you do the work. So why not do the work now? Because one of two things will happen. This I can promise you. One, your wife will meet you and you will start to have an epic or even the most beautiful relationship that you ever thought possible, like in the honeymoon stages, like 20 years in, or she won't meet you. And maybe there's too much damage and disconnect that's happened. But then as you go through the pain of a divorce and do things, then there will be a partner that will come along that will match you in your energy because you've done the work. You've done the work. You've got to lean into the hard. And we as men, we avoid the pain. We do not want to feel that. And what do? We numb out. We go to porn. We go to masturbation. We go to food, alcohol. We hide shit. If you're hiding things right now, whatever it happens to be, and you think, it's no big deal, nobody knows, I'm telling you, that does not work. So if you're feeling like, hey, I want to lean in, there's real disconnect. This happened to me multiple times in my marriage. It's like I think one time we went 9 months a year without having sex. That's so long. And just wanting it and not knowing how to do it and then getting to the point where you want to ask for it. No, a woman wants to be courted. She wants to be flirted with. She wants to be turned on. You got to bring some playfulness into it. But when we've gone without for so long and you're in disconnect, it's like we get in our head and you have one thing on your mind, and then it's almost like, hey, can we ask, the whole energy, hey, can we have sex tonight, or can we schedule sex, or can we do this, or can we do that? For me personally, I think that's such a turnoff. Or what's even worse is when your wife decides, there's disconnect and, you start having sex and I've had people, I'm stealing this phrase from somebody else. It's called starfish sex, right? Where you're just having sex and she's just literally just laying there and there's no you can tell she's not into it. You can tell she's put off. There's no chemistry. That is gross energy. I remember towards the end of my marriage, like I was just longing for it and I went for it. I got rejected. And then, other times where we'd have sex and it was just like, there was so much disconnect. Like I just stopped. Like I can't do this. Like, yes, I'm turned on. Yes, I want connection. And for any women that are listening to this, it's like, oh, men are always turned on. Listen, sex and making love is a way that we not only show love, it's the way we receive love. It's the connective piece of it. So when somebody's totally into you versus just laying there like a corpse, it's just like, it's gross. And then it really hurts the identity of the man, and he's not showing up. He's not pleasing his wife. And the reality is, like, if you're emotionally disconnected, like, you can't expect her to become some raging sex machine all into you. Women are much more emotionally driven, and they need to feel safe. They need to feel safe. And so you've got to be resolute in the fact that it's going to take time. You've got to do the work. Trust me, you are playing a role no matter what. Even if there's betrayal, you are playing a role in the entire thing. You've got to be willing to look in the mirror and own your shit. And if you can't, then you're dead. And I promise you that if you can't, you'll go into another relationship and you'll keep repeating the patterns over and over and over. I met a guy, I don't know, a couple of years ago. We were at a networking thing and he was on his 4th or 5th marriage. I'm like, oh, really? Just barely got married. He's super happy. And I'll never forget what he said. He goes, you know what? I think it was his 5th. He goes, after 4 marriages, I finally thought, you know what? Maybe it's me. But here was a guy that kept blaming all partners and ex-wives, and it was somebody else. It was somebody else. But the reality is, when he finally looked into the mirror, he's like, you know what? This is me. And that's when he finally did the work. So whether you get married again or in relationships again, I'm telling you, like, you've got to do the work. So do it now. You say you want to stay married, you want to be in this relationship, then prove it. Align your actions. And coming back to the numbing part, listen, there's nothing better than real sex and intimacy. And if you're checking out and you're turning to porn and going to whack off just to get the dopamine hit, the truth is you're just trying to comfort yourself because you've been rejected, because you're lonely. And while there's that temporary relief, right? The lead up to it, it's 10 seconds or whatever it takes, right? And then all of a sudden, how do you feel? You feel like shit. And then you get stuck in this pattern because then your body, it's the science behind it. It's the dopamine hit. You've got to be okay not getting off. There's nothing better than the real thing. And you've got to be okay being uncomfortable and moving through that uncomfortableness. And for those of you listening, shoot me a DM on social. It's my name. Like, I've got a whole thing that can help you move through uncomfortable emotions so you can stay. It's a superpower when you don't react. But the numbing, the checking out, most men, we all have an addiction of some kind, but most men, and most won't admit it, are turning to porn, masturbation, or food, drug. I mean, there's something that they're using, especially a man that's disconnected in his marriage. And he's using it to comfort himself, that inner child inside of himself. And listen, just like the gentleman example I gave that hasn't been in his house, hasn't slept in the same bed with his wife for years. I mean, he's just stuck in a cycle. And as I was hearing him, it's like my heart aches because I was that guy. I didn't live in my room with my wife for a year. A year. That's a long time. And so it's an invitation to, like, if you want to change, start today. Because I promise you this, whatever pain cycle that you're in right now, if you do not address it, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Slowly but surely. If you've got cracks in your foundation, you're hiding things, you're doing stuff, just come out and own it. Accept the consequences. You will be free. Go to your wife. If you're checking out, looking at porn, it's like, hey, listen, honey, I want connection with you, and this is what I've been doing to try to just cope, and just own it. And she might have a whole thing about it. She might say, I'm done. Then let her be done. But you're free because you told the truth. Let go of the weight that you're carrying, because so many of the secrets and the lies that we carry as men, I promise you, are affecting your relationship. Whatever it is, no matter how small or big it is. So many secrets, so many things. Energetically, it is affecting your marriage. I promise you that. And you will hit ceilings in your business, in your career, in relationships if you are out of alignment. You want freedom, come back into integrity and accept the consequences, positive or negative. There is a freedom on the other side of it that is priceless. Priceless. There's one, I've got a buddy that they've been married 20 years and they went through it here about 2 or 3 years ago. And what happened is he first decided he was going to change. He started to use his voice. He started to express these things. She had a reaction to it, of course. That's just normal. But as they worked through it, they both decided that, you know what? This matters. We're going to work on it. And they both went all in on themselves first. I believe no matter how much disconnect, no matter how much has happened in a relationship, if both people are willing to look at their own shit first and take radical accountability and then come together, magic can happen. And these guys now are 20 plus years married. They're like newlyweds. They are thriving. I'm telling you it's possible, but it will require you as a man to take the lead first. Take the lead. Take the lead. Accept the consequences of whatever you have done or not done. Own it. Just be real. Be vulnerable. Put yourself out there. If you're a guy that points the finger all the time, go to your wife and just say, you know what? I recognize I've done this. I recognize I've done that. It hurts. It hurts. I'm telling you it hurts, but it sets you free. It sets you free. If you're the man that's going out, and making a ton of money, success on the outside, everybody, and on the inside, you're posting pictures of your family and your wife online, but the reality is behind the scenes and all of it, like you guys are completely disconnected and it's all bullshit. I mean, come on. You're living a lie. Take off the costume. Take off the mask. Openly share it. Openly share it. You will be shocked at what comes in. I posted something today on social where it's like applause. Well, I'm going to misquote this, but anyway, the truth creates connection. That's right. Performance gives you applause. Truth creates connection. And I truly believe that your wife wants you to take the lead. She wants to be connected with you. She does. I promise you. And this whole thing that like women aren't sexually turned on, trust me, when women in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, they are as horny as men are, in some cases more. They want to be turned on. Turn your wife on. Like, play with her, date her, court her. If you're like me, it's like we got married. I mean, I put on so much weight. Like, I was over 100 pounds overweight. I mean, I was morbidly overweight. I don't think, and I wasn't showing up emotionally. You think my wife's looking at me across the room like, oh, I can't wait to jump him? Hell no. Hell no. I mean, come on. You got to get real. I mean, I can't believe how many ways I was lying to myself. And again, I wanted to point the finger. And towards the end of my marriage, right, just trying to push through, I got to a place to where it's like I really recognized all my shit. Like I was willing to work in it. And unfortunately, there had been so much disconnect. The void was so big, it just didn't work. And again, I'm not advocating for divorce. I'm advocating for you to water the grass wherever it happens to be, because it is not greener on the other side. I promise you that. It's green. The grass is green where you water it. So take the lead, men. Own your shit and start with something small. But you've got to be willing. You've got to be willing to put the time in. You've got to be willing. Just because you're making a decision to show up and change and be different, it's going to take time. She doesn't trust you. She just doesn't. And so how do you build trust? Trust is earned. It's through actions. It's through showing up consistently. And it's little things. If you're the guy, she says, we take the garbage out, and you never take the garbage out. You never take it out, right? And when you say she just doesn't believe you. So start taking the garbage out. Start with little things. How do you show up? How can you make her life better? Ask her. The other thing is really important is questions. How can I show up better for you? What do you need from me? If you're not asking questions, start asking questions. Let her tell you. You're not a mind reader, neither is she. Imagine this. If you start asking, what do you need? And you did that for several weeks, don't be surprised if she goes, honey, what do you need from me? And then you get to share, honey, I would love to make love to you. I would love this. I would love it if you said this. When I do something, just see me. That fuels me up. I mean, most men, when we feel seen and appreciated and our woman is just like, I see you, thank you for this. Like we will go to hell and back for them. But again, over years, we take each other for granted. We don't see each other. The disconnect kicks in. We don't want to deal with it. It's another day. And then men, I'm calling you out. We go and numb out. Why? Because it's easy. It's easy. It's easy. The hard button is the easy button. And I'm telling you, if you're going to stay in the same patterns, you're going to keep doing stuff, numbing out, looking at porn, doing whatever you're doing, I promise you, you're going to continue to live in the same unhealthy, unfulfilled marriage, or it's going to end, inevitably. So you have a choice. We're always in choice. And I'm telling you, divorce isn't the end of the world. Owning your shit will actually set you free. Come out and say it, and then accept the consequences. Accept the consequences. Just do it. Everybody has something. Almost every single man is wearing a mask to a degree. I want to be the guy that really shares openly about all my shit, everything that I've done. My intention in doing that isn't about, hey, see me, look at me. It's about, it's opening the door for other men to be, hey, it's okay. Hey, I did this or I did that, or you're not alone. You are not alone. And the more you share, the more you are yourself, the freer you are. And let's be honest, if you're selling a story to your wife that you're this way, and this way, whatever that way happens to be, and it's not true, you're living a lie. You're wearing a costume. You have built a relationship off false premises. And so to keep that act up year after year, decade after decade, it gets exhausting. So if you're going to put energy into anything, might as well be energy into you. And reverse the roles for a minute. What if your wife is telling you something that isn't necessarily how she feels? Are you doing that to her? Imagine that. Imagine your wife at the disconnect when she gets triggered or whatever. She's going off somewhere to look up porn and to get off or to do stuff and like all these different. I mean, how would that feel? You're doing that to her. Reverse the roles. How would that feel? So again, just own your shit, guys. Own it. I'm telling you. And this is coming from someone for years that didn't, right? I am by no means, and hopefully this isn't coming across this way. Am I telling you like, hey, I had it all figured out? I mean, I ended up getting divorced, and no one gets married, planning on getting divorced. No one. So I'm sharing all of this, inviting you to step up, to take ownership for your role, rip off the mask, and ripping the mask off hurts. It hurts, but it's temporary. It's temporary. If you're addicted to whatever, to get off of it, it's going to hurt. You're going to be uncomfortable. If you're addicted to porn and all of a sudden the dopamine, you're like, but you're resolute in doing it. Guess what? Don't be surprised if you go to sugar, if you go to something else, if you go to whatever. Like the body is going into detox. It's going to hurt, but it's temporary. So someone said something to me years ago, and I sat with it, and I think it's a great way to kind of think about it. Look at where you are today. If you happen to be, again, in a very disconnected marriage, right? You're in whatever, maybe you're in some of the patterns that I shared that I was in. Imagine being in this exact same spot 6 months from now. 6 months. Or even 30 days, 60 days, 90, whatever, a year, 2 years. And imagine if you just all of a sudden ripped off the mask, took off the Band-Aid and exposed everything, took ownership. The amount of pain that you're going to feel immediately is going to hurt way more intense than the avoidance pain that you're dealing with. But it's temporary. So imagine if I'm going to go through 1 month of hell or 3 months of hell, right? But on the other side of it is the most epic marriage you could possibly imagine. Deeper intimacy, connection, sex. You feel seen. Listen, you're the catalyst, man. You are the provider. Bring that masculine energy into the house, and then also be willing to take back feedback. Show up the way that she wants to. Do the work. And again, she will meet you. And if she doesn't, then you know with certainty that you did everything you possibly can. Because if you don't, and you walk away, there will be a part of you that always wonders, well, I wish I could have done this. I wish I would have done that. I'm at peace knowing that I really, with the tools and the resources I had at the time, I did everything I could. I'm at peace with that. I know so many men that aren't. That just like, I want to give up or whatever. I want to do this or whatever. I'm telling you, do the work now. She will either meet you or she won't, but you will feel so much more embodied. You will feel so much more confident. And I promise you, more often than not, she will meet you. And you can have the honeymoon phase 20 years into a marriage. I know couples that are doing it, but they did the work. And who did it start with? The husband, the man. So again, this episode is directed toward the men. If you want your marriage to be better, then you be better. Stop pointing the finger at her. Take this next 30, 60, 90 days and make it 100% about you. It's the only thing you have control. And so if you decide to show up differently tomorrow and start doing the things and she comes at you hot and she's freaking out and she's doing whatever, just take it. Take it. Breathe through it. Go outside, scream, yell, find another, go for a run, move through the energy of it. Let her show up that way. She doesn't trust you. And then keep doing it and watch how her guard starts to come down. She will see it. If you don't react, that's another thing too, as we get close to ending this. If the reaction on either part is where we all will get caught up. You know, I would come to my ex-wife about something. I'd finally get the balls to say something. And of course the delivery sucked because I hadn't talked about it in the moment. And then all of a sudden she got extremely defensive and came right back at me. I reacted to her, and then it became about the reaction. And then the original thing that I brought to her wasn't even addressed. And then I ended up apologizing for the way that I reacted, and I didn't feel seen. And we were in this cycle for years. If you can learn not to react, one idea for you is there's a great book called The Four Agreements. One of the four agreements is don't take things personal. Now, I didn't discover this book until after my divorce. But in a relationship that I was in for 4.5 years, if there was ever conflict, she lived about 40 minutes from my house, and we needed to work through something, I would listen to the chapter, get it on Audible. I would listen to the chapter, don't take things personal. Don't take things personal. And it would always soften my energy as I was going into it, because, you know, many times you're like, well, I want to point, you did this or you did that or whatever. But like when I would read that book, really, I'd just listen to it on Audible, and it's quick. It's like 15, 20 minutes. It would soften the energy. So then I could come in. So then if she was showing up a certain way, I didn't take it as personal. I didn't react. And the less that I react, the more it's a mirror back to your partner. If you want to reflect back to your partner what she's doing, if you want to reflect back to your wife what she's doing, do not react. If she blows off the handle, just sit there. Again, you could be spinning on the inside. Don't even show it. And then just calmly, right, babe, I'm not reacting. I mean, because then it's a mirror. If you react, it's about you and it gets lost. So it's subtle shifts, guys, but it's going to take some time. Put the work in. You're the catalyst. If you want the relationship, you're going to have to be willing to do the work. You're going to have to let go of all the stories, the resentment. Resentment is horrible. We can't keep people in their past. If your wife did something 10 years ago, get over it or leave. You got to let that shit go. Again, our wives play a role. This is about you, gentlemen. This is about you, men. If you want change, you have to change. And if you need some help with some of this, reach out to me. This is the work that I do, because so much of the way we move through the world is rooted in our identity and how we see ourselves. And I will tell you this, one of the biggest things here in closing that I think is really important is if you lack self-love and really self-worth, no matter how much your wife shows you that she loves you, you will reject it. You will unconsciously reject it. If you question your worth, you will not be able to receive love. You know, they say this thing, you can only love someone as much as you love yourself. I think that's bullshit. I was a huge lover. I love people way more than I love me. What I truly believe that how that should be worded is you can only receive love. Your capacity to receive love is based upon how much you love yourself. It's your ability to receive it, not give it. And so look in the mirror. If you question your worth, if you don't know that you're worthy of love, and I didn't say think, I said no, reach out. That's where the work needs to be done. You got to get to the root of some of these things. Yes, it's behaviors and different things, but if you will reject her love and the way she shows up if you do not feel worthy of it. If you do not know with certainty that you are worthy of deserving of all the love that you want. If you can't fix that, I'm telling you, like, sorry, but you're fucked. You've got to get to the root of this. So again, reach out to me. This is the work that I do. And again, in closing, I want to say, I see you, gentlemen. I see you men that are struggling. It's really hard, especially after a long period of time. It feels hopeless. You got to get out. You got to rip the Band-Aid off. You got to get out of the pit in the cycle of addiction and the way you're numbing out. You got to have the hard conversations. You got to lean in. You got to find ways to move through the uncomfortable emotions. And I promise you this, it doesn't last forever. It's temporary. Some temporary pain can lead to some just incredible things. But if you're not willing to be uncomfortable for a short period of time, you're stuck. and running away from it and filing for divorce and saying F you isn't the answer. Do the work now, because you're going to have to do it anyway. I promise you, the universe is going to make you do it. Own your shit, get rid of the vices, bring them all up into the open, take off the mask, and watch your life take off. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time on the Burn Up Podcast.